I'm a European who just last week looked into what winters in Canada can be like, and one of you commented and recommended for me to look into what maybe are two of the biggest storms ever so far in Canadian history. So we'll be looking at the White Juan. I don't really know how to pronounce that, but the storm from February 2004 and the ice storm in Quebec. So we're going to start with White Juan, however you pronounce it, and see what storms are like in Canada, because I can imagine that those are crazy based on what I saw last week from just regular, I guess, winters in Canada. So let's go ahead and find out.
Hi there, I'm Chris May, host of This Day in Weather History, a podcast from the Weather Network. There once was a hurricane named Juan. We remember that one, September 29, 2003, when it roared ashore in Halifax as a Category 2 hurricane. It packed wind speeds of 160 kilometers per hour, and it held that intensity through its entire duration from south to north through Nova Scotia, and then weakened slightly to a Category 1 as it continued on its mighty trek now through Prince Edward Island. That was the highlight of the fall of 2003. Fast forward now to the winter of '04, only a few months later, and when This Day in Weather...
So wait, if I'm hearing this correctly, there was a storm in 2003, September is what he said, right? And then a couple months later, there was another big storm, and that's the White Juan, because I also saw a storm called, I think, just Juan. So I think that's what he's talking about. But that's crazy if that's the case, to have two storms that are this big, and maybe the first one you would think like it doesn't get bigger than this, but then White Juan comes along and it's like, no, it does. Well, I don't know if it was bigger than the first one or not, but just to have them so close together is crazy.
History happened. They called this storm White Juan, unofficially, but it was comparatively speaking. It was a powerful nor'easter-style blizzard. The snow was falling at a ridiculous rate of 5 centimeters per hour, and it did that for 12 hours. So you can imagine the accumulations. Just some of the highlights, some of the snowfall records, the heaviest amounts of snow. Canadian Forces Base, or CFB Shearwater, took it on the chin for 95.5 centimeters. Yarmouth, 101 centimeters. And then we had our hardy storm searchers, those that are at home and they've got their measuring sticks. They're going to help out. They're going to let the Weather Network know how much snow fell, and many of them reported in close to 150 centimeters of snow.
What? 150 centimeters of snow. That's wild. Like, if I think about that, I'm 159 centimeters tall, or short, whatever you want to call it. So to think about that, I would basically almost disappear is crazy.
Oh, then there were the winds. There were maximum sustained...
What was that? Was the roof of that building just flapping?
Snow fell, and many of them reported in close to 150 centimeters of snow. Then there were the winds.
What? I don't even know what to say to this.
There were maximum sustained winds of 60 kilometers per hour. There was a 1 minute gust that was close to 120 kilometers per hour. There was a 10-second burst in Halifax of close to 150 kilometers per hour. All schools were closed in Nova Scotia. As you would imagine, a state of emergency was declared throughout the region. This day in weather history.
No, that's crazy. Man, they didn't say much about like victims or anything. I hope people were safe. At least schools were closed, so there's that. But no, that's insane. Like in my whole life, like I've seen snow. It snows in the Netherlands now. Sometimes it doesn't really, especially the last few years. If it snowed, it was, yeah, gone within like a day. So this is absolutely mind-blowing to think about. So that was White Juan. Let's go to the ice storm in Quebec.
Tonight, under siege. And in the dark, nature tightens its icy grip on Ontario and Quebec.
CTV News with Lloyd Robertson.
Good evening from Montreal. Much of central Canada is paralyzed and praying for heat tonight. Forecasters had warned us this would be the worst day so far in this onslaught from nature, and boy, were they right this time. This vicious storm is pummeling Quebec and parts of Ontario, and two of our own had a first-hand look today at the awesome power of this ice. CTV's Geneviève Beauchemin and her camera operator were reporting on the storm on the outskirts of Montreal in an area that is particularly hard hit.
Oh my
A
God.
hydro tower came crumbling to the ground, buckling under the staggering weight of the ice. The tower brought with it power lines attached to the massive steel structure. The CTV crew was trapped, wires surrounding them on all sides.
How does that just happen? It must be not just happening, but if anyone knows, let me know. Like maybe there's snow on the cables. And when it falls off, there's a difference in weight or something. I don't know.
After hours of waiting for help, they were told it was safe to leave the area. Geneviève will tell us more about her harrowing experience later in the news. The wide-ranging effects of this devastating storm are being felt across much of eastern and central Canada. In Quebec alone, more than 1 million households, that's up to about 3 million people, left without electricity. A state of emergency has been declared in about 20 communities in eastern Ontario, including the nation's capital. Fallen trees and power lines have closed countless roads. Even a border crossing to the United States in Prescott, Ontario was shut down. And the storm, now in its third day,
I wonder how long storms like this usually last. Because this is the third day. So I wonder, was this like the worst day? How were the first 2 days? How were the days after this? I think he did say that in the beginning that this would be one of the worst days. But yeah, I wonder how that kind of transitions or how long the duration is and when it's the worst. Yeah.
is being blamed for at least 6 deaths. For those left in the dark and the cold, a sense of helplessness can be hard to fight. People are left with little more than warm thoughts. But help is on the way. CTV's Rosemary Thompson reports.
The army is rolling towards Montreal, 2,500 troops to help restore power to a region that is in almost complete darkness. And they're bringing beds with them.
To evacuate the population, to help the Hydro-Quebec maybe to get to some remote regions.
But some people refuse to leave their homes. With trees crashing, Susan Gruber heads for cover. But when she gets there,
That's the alarm. The smoke. That's why it's the smoke.
she's lived without power for nearly 3 days. She can't leave because she lives in an area that's prone to flooding. So they fill buckets. It's so cold you can see Kieran Gruber's breath. The fire department arrives. Feeling the chimney, everything's okay.
It was okay.
3 houses burned in this neighborhood today. Every fire began in the chimney.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of that. Because it's an ice storm, so you wouldn't necessarily think of houses burning. But yeah, I can imagine that people want to put on their chimney for some heat in these times. But man, that's crazy. I hope they got out safe.
Fire departments are warning people not to use their fireplaces 24 hours a day. There's a risk of carbon monoxide poisoning. This apartment block was evacuated because of carbon monoxide gas. Seniors left their home and ended up in a city bus.
Those fumes, they have no odor to them, and they can kill you.
6 people are dead. Some hospitals closed operating rooms when power failed. They
Rest in peace to those people.
turned to generators.
We're seeing carbon monoxide poisoning. We are seeing trees falling on people's heads.
Thousands are heading to the shelters. This storm has dealt many a bad hand.
If I'd had power, I would bring them back home, but I don't think there's any power yet.
And the power may not be restored till Monday. So some people curl up in a corner. Others have nowhere to go. The hotels are full. At Central Station tonight, 130 people are sleeping in a rail car itself, hoping for a more comfortable bed tomorrow. Rosemary Thompson.
That must be crazy. I can't even imagine, because nothing like this really happens in the Netherlands. So to have to leave your home and sleep somewhere else and hope that the power comes back, I can imagine what that feels like. And also I wanted to say, I feel like what's the word again? Carbon monoxide. I don't know how you say it in English exactly, but yeah, that thing is so scary to me because you don't really realize it's there, I guess, because you can't smell it and see it. So I wonder at what point you realize that you're being poisoned or dying, and if you even realize that you are. So yeah, that just seems so scary to me. But yeah, these storms were crazy to watch, and I imagine 100 times crazier to witness. So if you experienced any of these storms, or maybe some other storms, let me know what that was like for you, because yeah, I can't imagine, as I said. So if you want to share something about it, then let me know in the comments. And thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in my next video very, very soon.